But the big question right now, and a question that we've never had to answer on a single day in Project 2020, is which Mike Trout card is better? Are you going with King Saladin, or are you gonna go with that Mr. Cartoon? This set is gonna continue to grow and evolve as the days, months, and years pass us by. We are then going to finally be able to slightly understand what this set means in the next 5 to 10 years. And it will be very curious to see where this set is in 5 years. But right now, what matters the most is where is this set at now, 10 days after we have seen the last cards. And also, welcome to 2021. So now we're talking about Project 20 in 2021. And welcome to episode number 143 of the Project 2020, maybe nightly news or just maybe Project 2020 show now. I'll figure that out here in the coming days. But my name is Chris, otherwise known on Twitter and Instagram is @CRT_sportscards. And my website, crtsportscards.com, is where you want to go for everything related to Project 2020. Now, my original plan for this show was to come out sometime in the middle of last week, but I decided to just take some time off and not put a video out. I'd also mentioned around a potential special guest. F. and I had spoken around trying to collaborate on an episode, and I'd mentioned the last episode when it came to breaking down all the numbers of Project 2020, but then I realized that I'm going to really recap a lot of the numbers in each artist video, so I'm not going to repeat myself when it comes to a video about the numbers, and then of course the numbers in the artist video. I still do want to hook up with F. on a video. I think all of you would enjoy a conversation with F. around his cards, so stay tuned for that. But for now, let's get into what has happened over the past 10 days. Number one, we saw the final print runs from the last 9 cards. And the set did go out on a very, very high note. That Don Seabrook Anderson over 4,000. But the story was the 2 Mike Trouts. Topps deciding to end the set on Mike Trout, King Saladin, and then of course Mike Trout, Mr. Cartoon. That King Saladin ended up topping that Mr. Cartoon by just a couple of 100 copies. So very, very nice to see both those cards come in over 12,000, but nowhere near 15, nowhere near 20,000, as I was a little afraid of a print run being that large at the very, very end of the set. So where does a 12.6K and a 12.4K print run land you in the overall landscape of Project 2020? When it comes to these 2 Mike Trout cards, both of them finished outside the top 30. And if you're a new person into Project 2020, you're going to think that's absolutely crazy, but that is just the insanity of the bubble we went through back in the summertime. And when you take a look at the top 10 printed cards in the set, since card 132, that Derek Jeter by Ben Baller, we had not had another card even sniff the top 10. So that top 10 print run number is obviously very centered into the bubble era. But outside of the bubble era of the set, really from card 61 to 162, what other eras of the set are there? And in my opinion, after card 400, there were 5 very, very distinct phases in Project 2020. The first phase being, of course, the pre-bubble. Cards number 1 through 60. And right about the middle of that part is when we started seeing the prices go up. Then we have the actual bubble, cards 61 to 162, where we saw some of the largest print runs known to man in the set. But following that was the post-bubble, where the bubble burst, where the prices came crashing down. Cards 163 to 264. Again here, another 100 card spread. And then card 265 to 346. This is where it gets interesting. This is going to be the 1K bubble. Now there was a 1,000 printed card before 265. That was card number 233, Mariano by Natural. But it wasn't until 265 where we started seeing consistent print runs under 2,000. And then the final block of Project 2020 is from card 347 all the way to number 400. And that is simply known as the 3 cards per day era. just because we have seen 2 cards per day since the beginning of the set, having 3 cards released per day was something that we didn't expect to see consistently, and that's how Topps decided to end the set. So just from a print run perspective, those cards acted a little bit different during that 3 card phase than if they would have just been sold as a 2 per lot every single day throughout the end of the year. So while you can access all of that information along with the breakdown by the artist onto my website, there was one very consistent theme, and that is Mike Trout was the #1 performing athlete in the set outside of the bubble era, and of course that was because Derek Jeter had card number 132 printed in the bubble era, and that is why he is the leading athlete in that bubble phase. But for the most part, Mike Trout started at the top and he finished the top as the #1 artist or athlete in the set. But that's kind of old news in the moment. That's just like me saying, hey, did you know that Ben Baller was the #1 printed artist in the set? All of you would say, that's not a surprise, give me something new. But I will say on a new perspective here, one thing that's sort of percolating, and I've mentioned it on a couple of episodes previous, was the fact that Dwight Gooden's son apparently has taken the money and run off with it. And reading what's on the Facebook group, what's on Twitter, maybe what Dwight Gooden did on Cameo as far as a request, but it does feel that he is not going to be honoring or fulfilling the autographs for his father. I really, really hope that this does get rectified here within the next 30 days. But it does look like if you gave him money, you might want to find a way to do a chargeback, because it doesn't appear at the moment that these autographs are going to be fulfilled. And there were also artists, Keith Shore, left out in the dark with his autographs. Of course, we had the Darryl Strawberry card with Keith Shore. So a lot of different things going on, but it does feel right now that Dwight Gooden Jr. has run off with the money, maybe up to $25,000, and that is a terrible thing to have happened this late into the set. Now, the one thing that I'm most excited to see about Project 2020 cards this close to the end of the set is the secondary pricing on especially the first player and the second player cards has ticked up quite rapidly in a short time frame. I thought it would go up, I just didn't think it would go up this quickly. Just 10 days after release, we have seen these cards go up, in some cases 10 to 12% from where they were over the past 4 weeks. I hope you checked out the website in the middle of last week on the pricing, but let's take a look at where the pricing is for the last 3 days compared to last week, because some of that growth just in that short time frame has been great to see. So taking a look at prices from 12/29 to 1/1, the last couple of days, nearly every single card has gone up. Some really great signs here. The Derek Jeter King Saladin up to $25. That's a 47% increase. Yes, that's also a very, very inexpensive card that has nearly a 10,000 print run. But take a look at that Jackie Robinson by Natural, $458, up 14%. The Clemente by Mr. Cartoon, up 12%, $325. And I hope you caught the fact that the previous week's pricing compared to the last 4 weeks average, 12 of the 20 had seen an increase. So those cards immediately after release or the end of the set has seen some very, very nice and steady growth, and it's continuing to happen. Now, one card that's not visible on the tracking for the past couple of days is the Mike Trout Ermsey. Number one, there just hasn't been any sales, but there was a sale late yesterday and then another sale today. We are starting to see that card top over $600, which is another fantastic sign in the set. And so you might ask yourself, what is creating this demand? Why are these prices going up? Simply put, the supply of these cards is dwindling. They are not as readily available as they once were. You know, I used to do, of course, daily auction highlights on the website, and eventually it just kind of became useless to do because there were so few cards ending in auction that were first and second player cards. And now, especially into January, we are seeing fewer and fewer auctions of the lower printed cards. Taking a look, for example, at that Jackie Robinson by Natural, I checked today, Saturday afternoon, there were only 6 listings on eBay for this card. 1 auction and the other 5 were buy it nows. So it feels like right now, if you're looking for a first or second player card, you have to make that purchase now because the market's going up. People have no incentive if they're a seller to drop their prices. If they take a look at the pricing overall, they're going up. And now the third set of cards that I'm really interested to see, and I've been very, very happy to see the results here within the past month or so, is with the Rainbow Foilboards, or foils for short. We've only seen about 5 to 6 hit the market. There are 19 in total. Grotesque did not release a Rainbow Foilboard towards the end of the set, but there is some interesting sales that have happened. Number one, of course, the prices out of the gate are going to be strong, and they do taper down a little bit as the weeks go by. But I still say these cards under 250, even some of the ones in the 400s. I don't necessarily think maybe the Griffey Baller, and now of course the last 2 Mike Trouts, but I still see some of these cards, if not all of them, being worth north of $500. It just feels that when you have a card this low printed with this much demand, people are short selling right now. They're trying to make some money back on this by listing them now. But I really think if you hold on to these cards, it's going to benefit you in the long term. So make a purchase now for first, second player cards. Save yourself some money, and then if you happen to find a foil in your package, remember, it's a free card. You are getting what you paid for with the base card. Topps is including these free as a bonus. I would sit and hold on it, because you know what? You are free rolling right now. Even if these go down to $100 in the future, you're still making $100 that shouldn't have been in the package in the first place. So at the end of the day, a lot of positive signs this close to the end of the set. We're going to continue to see if the press continues. Beckett has had 2 great write-ups around Project 2020. We'll see if other websites out there start to pick this set up more and more, and to see what artists are sort of next in line with Topps or other big projects that can further springboard this set. I'm excited to see where this set goes in January, and I'm really excited to see where the secondary pricing goes, because if these cards dry up, especially first player cards, the sky is the limit for these potential values. With that, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. It's rainy here in Seattle, and I'll see you back in the middle of next week for, I think, my first video of 20 when it comes to my artist series, where I break down a certain artist, all 20 cards in Project 2020. Until then, have a great week.